So I just finished Disc 1 of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, and what a ride. What a ride. Like, oh my. I'm so speechless right now. Like, I remember this. Like, the scenes and episodes I watched in, Brotherhood, Disc 1, episodes 1 through 9, were in the original Fullmetal Alchemist, but I didn't realize how amazing this series was when I first watched this when I was younger, like when I first got into high school. I think I was a freshman or whatever. I did not realize the quality of this series when I first started, because I was not the best when it comes to judging quality back in the day when I was, looking at different anime, and I didn't realize, good structure when it came to stories and characters and stuff like that. And after seeing these scenes once again, even though Brotherhood is different from Fullmetal Alchemist, we've already covered that in my first review, my first impressions, the point still stands that the way this introduction is done of Fullmetal Alchemist is just so fucking impressive. It is so impressive. And I cannot believe I have never watched this. I can't believe that. But there's a lot of things I have reviewed that's old, and I've always questioned why have I not fucking started this. Like Code Geass, Gintama, this, Magi. Just so many different series I have started, and I've always questioned, like, why have I not read or watched this series, even though it's so damn good? But regardless of excuses or trying to figure out why, let's just be thankful. Let's be thankful I never did watch this. Now, before you start assuming and saying I think this is bad, I'm actually saying be thankful I never watched this because I can do reviews on it. Like, I can give you all my real thoughts, my fresh thoughts about the series, my real emotions of what I feel about each individual episode. So yeah, be thankful I never have watched this series because I get to express with all of you, which makes me happy because I get to talk with all of you about this greatness already. Like, I can't believe it. Like, the scenes in episodes 1 through 9 are pretty much what happened in Fullmetal Alchemist. It's almost identical. It is. Besides some animation updates in this, which, oh my god, it's impressive for this day and age. But before I get into that, I just want to do my, thoughts of the ride of these 9 episodes. Just to see how the introduction of the characters are done, along with the concept and theme of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which I'm going to start calling this Brotherhood for short. I'm not just going to say Fullmetal Alchemist, I'm just going to say Brotherhood. It's easier and simple for me, so I'm just going to say Brotherhood. So, when it came to this series, Brotherhood, I like the way the world aspect is done, especially when it comes to the alchemy. Like, the alchemy is something I really love in this series. And what makes me really kind of curious is when you figure out that this series is like a very popular series. Like, almost everybody in the anime community or anime industry has probably heard about Fullmetal Alchemist. Probably everybody has heard about the name at the very least one time. It's like Attack on Titan. And what makes me kind of curious is, why have I never seen an anime series or manga series that is similar to Brotherhood? Now, hear me out, okay? When it comes to anime or manga, usually when something is successful, you have it to where other writers or other animators want to replicate that success and make something that's kind of similar to it, but with a little bit of a different spin. And what makes me curious is, why have I never seen a series that is even similar to Brotherhood? That's what really has me kind of questioning right now, because I don't think I've ever seen a series that uses the concepts like Fullmetal Alchemist, especially with the Philosopher'S Stone, the equivalent exchange, and stuff like that. And it's surprising to me. It really is. Now, there probably is something out there, but I probably have never seen it or watched or read it. I mean, I'm willing to bet there is something out there similar, but it's kind of crazy how we don't see a lot of that type of stuff when Fullmetal Alchemist is very popular. I mean, yeah. So anyways, the thing is, okay, if you have never started Fullmetal Alchemist, this is your first review you have heard of when it comes to Fullmetal Alchemist, you're wondering, like, should you watch Brotherhood? Bro, whoever, just go watch this. Like, I'm ashamed to not have started this sooner. Like, I'm very ashamed to not have started Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. I'm so ashamed, because it's so good. Like, I'm already at the tipping point. I'm on disc 1. I just finished disc 1, and there's multiple discs. I think, like, there's 6 or 7 discs, and that's crazy. Like, here, let me see how many discs is in this, okay? Let's see, disc 1, 2, 3, okay, 4 discs in this first half of Fullmetal Alchemist. So, assuming if the other one has 4 discs, that means the second half of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is going to have 4 discs too. So that's 8 discs. And I just finished the first disc. I've only watched the first disc. And the story has already impressed me enough to where I'm already hooked. Like, it's hard enough for me to stop watching and do this review because I want to go marathon it. But I promised I will do reviews on this weekly. And so I'm going to be reviewing disc by disc. I fully recommend it already. I can't express that enough. Because the first disc already has me hooked. As a watcher of an anime, casting aside my reviewer sense, as a watcher of an anime, it has that presence about it that hooks you and makes you want to continue on watching. And some anime can do this, some anime can't. It depends on the anime, it depends on your taste in anime, but mainly it depends on, I think, the way you perceive the anime. And Fullmetal Alchemist has this atmosphere about it that you don't feel normally when it comes to other anime to this day and age. Like, usually when you're watching an anime, okay, in this day and age, you get an episode and you're watching it weekly. And I mean, it's pretty damn good. Like, you're hooked already and you want to watch the next episode. But when you have these full series already out and stuff and you're watching it, sometimes it takes about maybe 3, maybe 4 episodes until you're fully hooked and you just need the next episode. Well, Fullmetal Alchemist had me hooked on episode 1, where I wanted to watch more, but I was holding back just to do an entire binge watch of the entire disc 1 before I could do a fresh review, which I'm doing right now. And it's scary that Fullmetal Alchemist is already doing this to me when I'm already 1 disc in, because it's probably going to be very fucking hard for me to resist just binge watching the remainder of the series when I get to a certain point, and that scares me. It really does, because I do want to do some really good reviews and disc reviews on the series. So, now that I'm past my thoughts, let's talk about the concept. What is setting up so far with the first disc? So from what you see is, the Elric brothers are trying to find out how to make the Philosopher's Stone, or, you know, the main importance of, like, who's trying to make it, like, how to make it, and what is going on with the government, and why they were experimenting of trying to figure out how to make a Philosopher's Stone. That's kind of what the concept of the first disc is, and it also introduces the main antagonist of the series. Well, kind of introduces 2 different sides of antagonists. It introduces Scar, and it introduces these other characters that are called, one's called Gluttony, and then one's called Envy, so I want to assume that they're, like, kind of like Sin and stuff like that. I'm assuming there's something like that. But the point is, the main point of disc 1 was to introduce the concept of the theme of the series, like hunting down the Philosopher's Stone for the Elric brothers can return their bodies back to normal, get back their arm and leg, and get back the body of Al. And also, at the same token, trying to figure out what is going on with these fake Philosopher's Stones. And that's kind of what the story is building up to in this disc. Now, there's little things that's really going on in the first disc that really serve to give us some really good character development for the characters. And I like the final 2 episodes of this first disc. Like, the final 2 episodes was mainly for Al and Edward's development. Like, you had to where they were having a conversation, and eventually came to a conversation to where Al thought he was a puppet. Like, he was just a machine. He was created by his brother, and he wasn't a real human, a real person. And this really caused some conflict in the final episode of the disc 1, and you had to where the brothers kind of reconfirmed their goals, what they wanted to strive for to fix their bodies, and they united even stronger with their bond. And I like the way the drama was handled in that sequence. It was like a very mature sequence, and it was kind of dark, actually, because, as you know, if you've already watched the first episodes, if you already watched the series entirely, you already know what I'm about to mention. But the reason why Al and Edward lost their bodies was because of they did the taboo of alchemists. They did a taboo to where they tried to revive a person from the dead, bring back a dead person, and that was their mother. And in the act of this, the cost of the equivalent exchange was too great. Edward lost his arm and leg, and Al lost his body. Well, technically, you had to where Edward lost his leg, and he lost his arm to bring back his brother and put his soul into a suit of armor. But still, the point is that Edward kind of made Al lose his body. And in that act, Al no longer can feel things like a normal human. He cannot feel things. Like, if you're touching someone, he can't feel that. He can't feel the warmth of rain or cold of rain. He can't feel the weather. I mean, he can't eat anymore. He can't sleep, I'm assuming. So it's very sad when you start thinking about this, because as a character standpoint, that's very fucking tragic. Because, I mean, imagine if one day you just didn't have a body, and you were stuck in a metal suit of armor, and you were just walking around, and I mean, you're there, but I mean, would you feel like you're living, really? Because you don't have a body. How would you feel if something was like that? And this is where the main conflict of the final episodes of Disc 1 comes to centerfold. You have to where Edward confronts his brother, and Al confronts him, and it's like, you don't know how it feels to not have a body, and Edward's main fear was that Al resented him and disliked him after what has happened. Like, the entire point of him losing his body was because of Edward, and Edward was worried that Al would blame him and hate him, not want to speak with him, and, you know, just kind of judge him for what all has happened. And to see how he was thinking about this the entire time and never wanted to mention the conversation of Al's body being lost, it just brings you a new perspective of Edward's character. It makes me respect him so much more as an older brother figure, even though he looks like the younger brother. It makes me respect him so much more after the conflict he went through his life. Little details I do want to point out with this too is also how Edward, as a brother, he's very mature for his age, and so is Al. They're both very, very mature characters, and it's very shocking to see how mature they are when they're children. Like, one's 14, one's 15, and usually when I see a shonen series, now I'm not saying all shonens like that, don't misquote me, I'm just saying usually when it comes to shonen series, a lot of the characters are kind of immature. Not all, but some. And I was kind of shocked to see how mature Edward and Al were as characters. They seem more like adults than actual children, the way they carry themselves through the series and the issues they went through, along with how they research and try to discover things, along with trying to figure out how the Philosopher's Stone is made. And to see how, like, they were kind of scientists in this journey of Disc 1. Like, you can look at them as if they were scientists. They're interested in learning, interested in doing research and finding out how to do other things, and it's just so cool the way they're like that, how mature they are. And that also goes to play with the main theme of Fullmetal Alchemist. You have it to where all alchemists are kind of researchers, scientists, and they just want to study and do things, and it's so interesting to see how a world is like that in this series. And that goes back to what I said at the earlier parts of this review. Like, it's just so crazy how other series haven't tried to imitate what Fullmetal Alchemist has done. Now, getting off that, I don't want to repeat myself with what I said earlier. The other things going on is to make a Philosopher's Stone, you need humans, human life. And I remember this. I remember this because I watched the original Fullmetal Alchemist. And now I have been told Fullmetal Alchemist follows Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Whoa, let's clarify. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood follows the manga. Fullmetal Alchemist didn't follow the manga, and it changes around episode 13 or 15. Chibi told me in my review last week that it goes to the manga, like it splits off from the original Fullmetal Alchemist, and it goes down the manga route around episode 14 or 15 or 13, so I'm expecting some massive changes around then. But for now, it's pretty much the similar things I have seen from the original, and all the things are starting to click back in my head of what happened in the original, like the entire bit with how Al was fighting this dude that was also in armor. His soul was in the armor, and he had to fight him, and the dude got some conflict to where Al was questioning if he was a puppet or not. I remember that scene. I also remember the laboratory, and I remember how to make the Philosopher's Stone. It was all starting to click back in my head as I was watching these episodes, along with the poor little girl that got turned into a chimera by her father. And that's some fucked up shit. That is some fucked up shit. It's like, oh my god, man. I remember when I first watched that when I was younger, and I first watched Brotherhood, oh my god, when I first watched Fullmetal Alchemist. I remember when I first watched that, and I saw that scene. That was a fucked up scene, man. Like, what father, how mad must you be and insane must you be to do that to your own damn daughter? That's twisted and sick and disgusting. It's so fucking disgusting. He did it to his wife, and then he did it to his own damn daughter that loved him. And what's even sicker about it is the daughter, even though she was turned into that abomination, she was still trying to protect her father. Like, Daddy's hurting. And I'm like, oh my god, it's so fucked up. It really is. And I don't think this concept was used in the rest of Fullmetal Alchemist, like the original. I don't think this concept with chimeras were actually ever gone back into, so I wonder when Brotherhood diverges from the original, I wonder if I'm going to get to see more aspects of chimeras, or, you know, human chimeras. I wonder if I'm going to see more stuff like that in the near future, because more of that concept needs to be dived into. Hopefully, there is a way to maybe fix stuff like that, because, I mean, the Philosopher's Stone is said to have unlimited potential, and if that is true, it's possible it can bring back the dead, which is incredible. If it can bring back the dead, it can do almost anything, because that's bringing back a soul from death, and it's fucking crazy. It really is. And also, on top of that, you have it to where if it can do something like that, maybe it can demerge chimeras. I don't know. Maybe it's possible. Now, with what's also going on, we have to factor in something that was brought to the table with this first disc. The Philosopher's Stone is made with human souls, and there is these artificial Philosopher's Stones, or these non-complete Philosopher's Stones being made, which was introduced in Disc 1. You have to wonder, how many souls did that take to make those fake or incomplete Philosopher's Stones? That's what we have to mention right now and think about. Like, how many people did they have to kill or sacrifice to make that little fake one that the priest dude or the father dude used in the first 3 episodes of Disc 1? Like, how many? Did they have to use 2, 1, 5, 10, 100? I mean, we have to wonder right now, how many people had to die to make a fake incomplete one? And if that supposedly had, let's say, even 100 people to make an incomplete one, how much must a complete Philosopher's Stone be to be able to be made? Like, you gotta think about this, okay? The Philosopher's Stone, the incomplete, was kind of insane. It was very strong. It was doing things that shouldn't be possible. I mean, it was doing some crazy different demonstrations of alchemy, and you have to wonder what could, you know, a little bit of a better incomplete Philosopher's Stone could do. Like, I mean, if that one, let's say, was made with, like, five people's deaths, okay? How strong would a incomplete Philosopher's Stone be if it had, like, 50 souls put into it, or 100 souls? You gotta think about that, too. Like, how strong would it be? And maybe it's possible you don't need a complete Philosopher's Stone to be able to bring back the dead. Because if you think about equivalent exchange, when I think about it, equivalent exchange is kind of like you need more lives. You need a life for a life. Like, you need to sacrifice a life to bring back a life. That's what I'm assuming is how the mother is going to be brought back, or the bodies are going to be brought back. Like, to bring back Owl's body, you're going to need to sacrifice another body, which you got to think about that right now. Like, if they have to sacrifice another body, like equivalent exchange, it has to be an equivalent exchange. If they have to sacrifice a body, I'm going to assume it's a living body too, because Owl was also living. That's going to be fucked up and dark. So how is Owl going to get back his body? Unless they get the Philosopher's Stone, but, you know, they're not going to go down that path of getting the Philosopher's Stone if it needs human lives to be made. And also, I wonder if there's another way to make a Philosopher's Stone without human lives. Like, what if there's another way? Also, something else I want to point out, the father of the Elric brothers, in the family portraits at their house and different pictures we saw around episode 5 or 6, the father's face was marked out on the pictures, which is very strange from an anime standpoint. When you have a father figure, a parent figure, or sister or brother marked out from pictures, you should probably expect them to be very important to the plot later on. And I do kind of remember what happens. I don't remember the full extent of what happens to the person, the father in question, in the original Fullmetal Alchemist. But I wonder what really happened to him, because I know for a fact that's going to be anime original, what happened in the original. So I wonder how it's going to be different in this version, Brotherhood, because I highly doubt they're going to be similar. So I wonder what really happened to the father, and why is he really gone? That's the question I have right now, because he was marked out, and I wonder what type of importance he's going to have later on. Like, why didn't he see, you know, his wife when she died? And why not? You also got to wonder, too, like, why didn't he go be there for his kids? Or why didn't he come to see Fullmetal Alchemist Edward? Like, why didn't he try to see him or, you know, talk to him? Because I'm willing to bet his name has been cast around. He's probably heard his son's name. So is he dead? Is he alive? I mean, We have to wonder that. But we also have to put that into consideration. So yeah, there's a lot of questions with this first disc. So many questions. So many things to question. Oh yeah, the beast thing that was made in the taboo, in the ritual to bring back the dead, or the mother of the Elric brothers. In that ritual, you see this grotesque abomination creature summoned forth. And something was brought back. We saw it clearly, we saw the face and all that. Something was brought back. Now, what was that? That's what we also have to question. Was that the mother? Was that the mother? Like, did the mother get brought back, or was that something else? I mean, what was it? Because we do know it was there when the grandma that was watching over the Elric brothers went back to check. It was still there, but it was never completely stated in Disc 1 what happened to that creature. Because you had it to where the state alchemist, when they arrived there, it was gone. So what happened? What happened to that creature? See, it's been a long time since I've watched the original. I've forgotten a lot of details. I only remember mainly the starting point of the series, and I don't remember much of the ending. I remember some aspects of the ending. That's all I really remember, besides some few details in between. And so, yeah, my memory is kind of fuzzy, and so I wonder what happened to that creature, because now that I think about it, was that creature ever get explained in the original? I don't think it did it? I don't think it did. I really don't think it fucking did. I have to say, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant series. I'm not even getting into the animation, along with the art style and music. Oh my god, the fucking music. Like, that opening song... That opening song is breathtaking. Like, if this was coming out right now, like, let's say Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood was coming out right now. It was airing right now, and it was fresh episodes and stuff like that. I would declare this opening from Brotherhood, opening 1, to be the best damn opening of the season. Like, nothing compares to the openings of this current anime season to this Brotherhood opening. Like, nothing compares. That song is so fucking amazing. Like, I love that start. I so much fucking love that start. When you see Edward just putting his hands up in the alchemy, all that, you see his hair flowing, like, the animation and shit in that scene, along with, I'm guessing, the father figure, you see his face pop up, like, his eyes pop up. I'm loving that. I'm loving that opening, and that ending, oh my god. The music in this is just so damn good. I forgot how good the music of Fullmetal Alchemist was. I forgot how good this music was. I'm gonna ask you a quick question. I'm gonna ask you, Chibi, real quick. Is the music from the original Fullmetal Alchemist, is it used in this series? Like, or did they make an entirely new soundtrack to Brotherhood? Or are they using songs from the original and did they plant them back into Brotherhood? Like, could you let me know that? I'm very curious. Did they go a full step and try to make a new soundtrack to the series? Because they did. Props to them. Even if not, still props. Because the music is just so damn good. Oh my god, I'm a sucker for that music. Oh yeah, animation. Let's get on to the topic of animation. Animation of Brotherhood. I'll tell you, it's quite surprising. Like, I don't know when Brotherhood came out. I have no idea what year this came out. But the animation quality of this series destroys some anime from the season. It destroys some anime. Like, the animation quality and budget in these scenes are some crazy shit. Like, the two last episodes of Brotherhood on Disc 1, oh my god. Like, it destroyed a lot of animation besides Fate and Madhouse's standard quality. It's fucking crazy. Like, the animation in this series is like, oh my god. So yeah, that's about it. I think I've talked or mentioned everything I want to talk about. Oh yeah, one thing, Winry, I like her. She's pretty awesome. She's pretty epic. Like, I mean, helping out Edward and all that, and Al when they're in times of need, fixing the arms and stuff like that. She's like an older sister figure. I like her. I like her character a lot. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I think I've covered everything I wanted. I've talked about the main premise of the series. I've talked about the animation, the music, my thoughts on the Elric brothers. I've done a little bit of theory crafting, discussed, the equivalent exchange. I think I've talked about everything I want to talk about. So yeah, if I left anything out, please bitch slap me. Let me know. Y'all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.